All right, we are back here on the podcast talking Winning Time Season 2. Join me today, great friend of the podcast. Talked to him last year about his Bo Jackson book. Today we're talking about the show inspired by his book on the Lakers. Jeff Pearlman is here. Jeff, how are you?
I'm great, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And somebody who loves the show, it's a lot of fun to talk to you, considering that I know I listen to the weekly podcast. You pop on every week, talk about what's going on the show. So it's fun getting your insight on the actual Winning Time show.
Thanks.
All right, so let me get this guy on here. I know the reason you want to come on here is obviously Winning Time right now. Viewers have been very vocal on social media, like, hey, people need to watch this show. Like, we need to get more numbers for people to watch and get this third season here. So, like, you want to give me the quick elevator pitch for people who have not watched why they should be checking this show out?
Sure. I have two kids who really need to get through college, and the show pays for their tuition, so it's really important.
That's for sure.
I'm just kidding. It's because it's a great freaking show, and like there aren't that many high quality sports shows on TV, sports dramas with legit, well thought out plots and these casts with these stars, but also a mixture of like young up and coming actors and actresses, and it's just like, to me, it's just great, gripping, well done, well constructed television that happens to be coming along at a time when there's a strike, a writer's strike and an actor's strike, so people aren't able to promote it. And I feel like it's underappreciated, and maybe people aren't as aware of it as they should be. Yeah,
I do want to give a shout out to that cast here, and obviously, like, there's so many great names in it, whether it's established people like John C. Reilly or Adrian Brody or newcomers like Quincy Isaiah, Solomon Hughes. Like, the depth of the cast in the show is incredible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. First, they tell you they want to do a show on your book, and you think, oh, I guess that's cool. And then they say, it's going to be on HBO, and you say, oh, that's cool. And then they say John C. Reilly's going to be in it, and Adrian Brody, and Rob Morgan, and Sally Field, and Jason Segel, and on and on and on. And you're just like, this is the greatest thing ever. It's such a great cast. It's such a great show. It's just thrilling to me. It really is. Just thrilling.
Yeah, it's thrilling here. And obviously, I think the show did a tremendous job, in my opinion, just like nailing the players on the cast. I mean, obviously, Quincy Isaiah is the breakthrough character as Magic Johnson. Solomon Hughes is a great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, Norm Nixon's son, Devon, playing him. Like, I think it's a lot of fun seeing like these guys sort of interact. And the guy that they found for Larry Bird is perfect as well.
Yeah, Sean Patrick Small, really good. Yeah. Supposed to be Bo Burnham playing Larry Bird, and then he dropped out, and I feel like the show got really lucky because Sean is amazing. Yeah, I mean, the casting, in a way, the star of the show is the casting directors, because I don't know how you cast Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I don't know how you cast Magic Johnson. I don't know how you cast Larry Bird. Like, three easy identifiable, unique, iconic figures, and you can't just put a famous celebrity in those roles and hope it works out. Like, the actors need to become them, and they need for you to not think during the show, oh, that's an actor playing Larry Bird. You need to think that's Larry Bird. I just think it's amazing. Everything they did is just brilliant.
Yeah, for sure here. And I do want to touch on a comment you made on a recent episode of the Winning Time official podcast here about something that's interesting with the cast is hopefully this show gets into a season 3 is that as we move forward in time, obviously the roster of the Lakers is going to change, and we're going to lose some of these people we've gotten to know, like Mark Landsberger, Austin Aaron, not be on the show for probably too much longer here. Norm Nixon, we know, gets traded and realize so he's not going to be there for too much longer. You start bringing in new people, too. So the cast turnover is going to be interesting to see how that reflects it here and some of these new characters we introduced to along the way.
I actually find it sad. I hate saying goodbye to characters because a lot of these actors have become pretty good friends. And for a lot of guys, this is a real breakthrough. Like you mentioned, Mark Landsberger, that's Austin Aaron. Another guy, Jim Jones, played by Newton Mayenge. Like, these guys put everything they had into it. This is a huge break for them. It's a huge opportunity. They're on an HBO show. And then just like players get traded and they move on, the actors kind of move on. And I don't know, it makes me genuinely sad to see some of these guys go. There aren't that many characters in the show who have full staying power, who stick around throughout the Laker dynasty. It's very few. So it's what happens, but it's sad nonetheless.
It is sad nonetheless. And I do also want to touch on, obviously, John C. Reilly being cast as Bus, I think, is perfect in my opinion here. And I know that the rumor has been in Hollywood has been that this sort of ended the friendship of Will Ferrell and Adam McKay because Ferrell wanted to be Bus, and then they said no, Reilly has to be the guy. And I think they were proven correct on that one.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say since they adapted my book to be the show, I ruined the friendship of A and Will Ferrell. Yeah, I mean, John, I don't think Will Ferrell would have worked, to be honest with you. Just being blunt, I don't think it works. Too comedic. And John C. Reilly is a sort of mixture of dramatic and comedic actor. And I don't think you look at him and keep thinking this is John C. Reilly. I think a lot of times you see, what's his name? I just had a brain freeze. Will Ferrell. And think, oh, that's Will Ferrell. I'm seeing Will Ferrell. So for me, like, it just made sense. It's great. It's really good casting. I mean, even Jeannie Buss, who obviously was reluctant about the show, has been really thrilled by the job he's done playing his father.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Jeannie Buss here. I know, like, the big thing that turned me on to this last year originally is that a lot of the Lakers who were involved in that show, in the time period, the actual, like, history of the sport, like, were not thrilled with their portrayals on the show. So, interesting to see, like, how it sort of evolved here. I mean, you mentioned Jeannie Buss, and now she says, like, she does check out the show because it does sort of bring back some memories of her father. So, it's interesting to see how that sort of evolved over the course of the year.
Yeah, also, like, of course they don't like their depictions. They're not getting paid for it. It's their lives, and they're watching someone play them. I totally get it. I've always gotten it. But I think, I don't know, I've talked to some guy, like Jim Jones is one of the characters. He really digs the show. Spencer Haywood has said he digs the show. So, I get it. You're Magic Johnson. You're watching a show. There's a character named Magic Johnson who dresses like you and doing things you did. It's a little awkward and clumsy to behold. So I get it. But I still think the show, ultimately, more than anything, it pays homage to that era and those teams.
Yeah, it certainly does here. And I do want to also discuss here the pace of the show here. I think is interesting here because season 1, which was the thing that really broke out and got a lot of people's attention here, is like really just covers the 79-80 season where, we spend about 4 episodes getting to training camp in terms of seeing all the background. We sort of have an episode dedicated to like Pat Riley, Jerry Buss, Magic, Kareem. This season, we're halfway through. It covers 4 seasons. Like, I feel like it's going to be so crazy trying to cram as much information we can into these episodes.
I mean, it's a very slow and deliberate 79 through 80 coverage. And this season, which is only 7 episodes, not 10, goes all the way from 80 to 84. So I think what they did wisely is they sort of gripped on to certain developments in particular. The development of Larry Bird as a character, the development of the Bird Magic rivalry, the development of the Celtics, the demise of Paul Westhead, Jeannie sort of emerging as, more than just the daughter of the owner, but a potential sort of heir apparent. So I just think they made different choices this season, and it worked. I remember when they were doing it, I was like, I don't know, but it really does work. So I just think, even though it's a faster pace, it's still a quality pace.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely enjoying it. I do think, like, the thing I think that stands out to me at the show is the visual choice they make with certain things. Like, when we had the Larry Bird stuff in episode 3, which is a detour from our main storyline, we get sort of the letterbox format where it's like we're watching the Larry Bird movie inside the late winning time show. That kind of stuff is fun.
Oh, yeah. I just think it's, the show, number one, doesn't take itself too seriously. It doesn't. There's a lot of wink and nods. There's a lot of stops in the action. Like in episode 3, when Larry Bird is playing in jeans and boots at Indiana State, it stops to say, yes, this really happened. And I just think it's not overly serious. It's not even overly ambitious. It's just a really cool show about a cool time period, paying a lot of homage and respect to the guys who are there. And it's fun. Like, it's fun. I don't think, like, people will be like, well, what's the meaning of this and what's the meaning of that? A lot of times I think we forget. We live in a really stressful world with a lot of crap going on. And sometimes it's nice to plop down in front of your TV, give your brain a rest, and just watch the antics of 80s basketball in a TV series. And at the end of the day, if that's all it is, if it's just joy, that's cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned it is very fun to watch because there's a lot of like goofy things happen in the show, like the scene where like Cookie's like talking to Magic in her mind, and Magic's like on the bed in her bedroom while her boyfriend's in the back.
Oh yeah.
The newspaper scene where Larry Bird's talking newspaper. I was dying, I think, in episode 3 when Magic was like hallucinating about the kids' camp and the kids were trash talking him. Stuff like that just gets me every time.
Oh, I agree. It's just funny. There's a lot of humor. It's a lot of Adam McKay in there. And the main writers, Jim Heck and Max Bornstein, and they're just like, they're just really precise and really sharp and really funny. And they're funny people to talk to. in person. So to see it sort of on the screen actually makes sense. It just really, there's a lot of humor there. It's really funny. Rodney Barnes, one of the other writers, like a really funny guy. And yeah, it works. I love the show. I could not be happy with the show.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of my favorite scenes I want to touch on for the whole season here is like in the premiere of season 2 when we have the game night at the bus house of the Monopoly scene when Jerry is blasting his sons for a bad Monopoly trade because they're trying to keep the game interesting and keep themselves in the game. I think that was so much fun for me to watch because like I've been an intense family game night, so I can only imagine like what that was like.
Yeah, I agree. My family had no competitiveness whatsoever. We played Monopoly, nobody cared.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that really was very emblematic of sort of the family. And, you know, again, we're developing characters. Who are these people? What do they represent? What do they symbolize? I thought that scene was really good. I agree.
Yeah, for sure. Like, of what we've seen so far this season, what do you think is the funniest moment of season 2, in your opinion?
I mean, I know I alluded to it. I love the scene with Larry Bird playing in jeans, a flannel, and boots, showing up at Indiana State and just running through that whole sequence. And he keeps turning the coach and says, "That's 6, right?" And he ends up scoring, I think, 43 points. And he's talking trash and he's doing all this stuff. And I just think everything about that scene, that the Cheap Trick song playing in the background, is absolutely perfect. So it's not just, to me, one of the best scenes this season. I think it's one of the best sports TV scenes ever. And another one I love, it's not very funny, but it's when Jim Jones is traded and he storms into the office and he sort of confronts Jerry West and he's looking for Paul Westhead, and Paul West is hiding in his office, not coming out. That was the actor's Newt Mayenge, who plays Jim Jones, and I just love everything about that scene.
Yeah, for sure. You brought up Paul Westhead here. And obviously, like, Jason Segel's had a big presence in season 2 here in terms of, like, Westhead's character has been sort of like one of these drivers of the storyline here, where we see him in season 1 and he's sort of, you know, like, I'm not sure if I'm up for this job. He's leaning on Pat Riley to help him, and then he gets this big confidence boost from winning a title. He's, like, trying to assert his authority. He's trying to, like, deal with people he feels like are undermining him. I think the evolution of Paul Westhead's storyline has been a lot of fun to track over the season.
I agree. And starting from, you know, taking over for a failed Jack McKinney, I think it's really good. And obviously Jason Segel is like a pro's pro. And yeah, I think it's great. I get sad when these people are gone. Like Jason Segel, just as a guy on set, is really beloved. No one has a bad word to say about him as an actor, as a professional. And, you know, eventually he gets fired by the Lakers. And that means he leaves the show. And it's kind of, you know, how it all works. I'm new to this world, so it's all just new to me. But it's really interesting.
Yeah, I think go back to the casting director you mentioned earlier, a great choice for Jason Segel, because, like, as a guy who watched him and How I Met Your Mother and some of his movies, like, he's the kind of guy where you kind of plop him in a locker room, it's like he looks like he doesn't belong. He feels like legitimately he's trying to earn his place in that locker room. Yeah,
interestingly, a hell of a basketball player. Played high school basketball out here in California. I think it was either All-City or maybe All-State, but like a really high-level basketball player. So, yeah, no, he's great. I'm telling you, the cast is freaking brilliant. Like, it's just like a great... I mean, I remember when they cast Adrian Brody at first. And I was like, I don't know. You know, like, I don't know. And he's been awesome. Like, I was wrong. He's been awesome. I have nothing bad to say about the casting of this show at all. It's just ridiculously good.
It is ridiculously good. And I do like, in terms of the storyline here, it's like they do a good job where this easily could have been a writing job where it's like, oh, you know, like Paul's just cocky and just is full of himself, but like writing does a good job sort of portraying Paul as saying, you know, like he's right about a lot of things about, like, you know, like I can't have a team where like the point guard's going right to the owner when he wants information, or like if I have roster approval, I have like Jerry West and Bill Sharman like shoving things down my throat, but like the way he approaches things sort of like gets him in trouble.
I agree. I can't argue with anything you're saying. I think sharp, it's fresh, the thing works. The writing's creative. It doesn't get it its own way. You're invested in the characters. It's not too serious that you don't like, you know, you're not going to lose sleep over the show. But you know, it's always there to watch and it's enjoyable. I like hearing how much you like it, because I like it just as much.
Yeah, and obviously, I feel like this season, I think last season was more of the onslaught. I feel like this season really has been the Magic Johnson season, because he's driven a lot of the storyline. Like, whereas the premiere with whether or not he should like pay off the mother of his child, we have the contract stuff, the injury, him feuding with Westhead. Like, the Magic stuff in season 2 is a lot of fun.
I agree. I've seen the evolution not just of a character but of an actor. I mean, Quincy was very inexperienced when he got here. He hadn't acted that much, and he's awesome. And he's really kind of, filled that role in a really professional and impressive way. So, yeah, and I'm again, I can't argue with anything you're saying.
Yeah, it's a lot. Portrayal, like, he's got his moments where, like, he's, like, so serious, and, like, the moments, like, last week, I think in episode 3 with the brunch at the end with Norm, where he's sort of being, like, Jerry Buss's heavy, where he's, like, walking around, like, sort of menacing around, and, like, hey, we're not going to have a problem here, are we? And, like, they just intimidate Norm into, like, sort of going along with the makeup here. Like, seeing the dimensions Quincy can act with is great.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually think it's cool because, Norm's son, Delonte, Norm Nixon's actual son, Delonte, plays Norm Nixon. And he has the mannerisms down. He has the swagger down. He has the sort of, oozes of confidence that Norm had. Every scene with Norm Nixon in it, I got to say, I enjoy it immensely because I think Devon is just a truly great actor.
Yeah, I also do think it was a fun choice. I don't know how involved you were, like, talking to the writers for the season here to sort of give us that flash forward in the premiere of, okay, we're starting the season with the 84 finals, and we get on the bus, and Pat Riley gives the great speech, and we sort of backtrack, like, here's how we got there. So, like, did you know, like, sort of what the genesis of that idea was to start us there?
No, I mean, it was a dramatic moment that actually happened and is in my book. So I guess they I was in the writer's room, so it's hard for me to say sort of why they decided that. I just think it's a bold, strong way to start it. And you're building toward you basically are exposing the Boston Lakers rivalry and how heated it is, and then going back in time, but always keeping that in mind that we're going to end up back here in Boston and kind of enticing the viewer.
Yeah, for sure here. I do think episode 5 here coming up this week, obviously, like, we ended episode 4 on the whole Magic Johnson demands a trade, which means in real life we know that pretty much, like, we're following up with Westhead getting fired, Riley being named the interim coach, and then they go on to win a title that year. So fun stuff I think I had in episode 5. So, like, if you had an advanced look at this and give a tease of what we could expect on Sunday?
Yeah, you get to see the rise of Pat Riley in a very literal sense. It's all about much of it is about Westhead's departure and Riley's arrival. It's one of my favorite episodes. Probably my favorite episode, actually, in 2 seasons, is episode 5, season 2. So it's really, really good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that for sure here. And I do think it's going to be interesting in terms of where do we end this season? Because obviously we're going to end up in 84 where the Lakers lose to the Celtics in real life. And, like you and Vocal, hey, with the story not finished here, we need to get to a season 3. Do you think this is a show that would have, like, 1 more season, 2 more seasons in a perfect world? What would you expect?
I mean, I would love it to go through 1991, which is where my book goes through, and kind of the end of the dynasty. Is that realistic? Probably not. In fact, definitely not. So, I mean, if I could get another season or 2 out of this show, I would be thrilled, man. I really would. I feel like it's a great TV show, not just because it's good for me and my career, and it's been so fun. Like, it's just a great TV show. And the problem with 84 is the Lakers lose at the end of 84. So, like, you can't have a Lakers series and end it with them losing to the freaking Celtics. I mean, that's utterly preposterous. So, I don't know. Hopefully it goes on a few more years.
Yeah, it would feel like if Star Wars ended after The Empire Strikes Back, and we just end with Han and Carbonite and then everybody losing, and then sort of like in no one. Like, you sort of need Return of the Jedi to finish it off.
100% agree with you. That's actually a very good comparison. You can't end Star Wars with Darth Vader winning. And so, yeah, I'm with you 100%. But, it's not my call. It's not my call.
Yeah, for sure here. And for people who are getting into this show, like, obviously you said numbers matter. I know it's tricky with the Nielsen thing where you don't have a box. Like, they don't really count you as much. But, like, how would you encourage people to watch the show if they want to, like, boost the numbers here, get another season going?
All you got to do is go to HBO Max and watch it. And tell your friends and sort of let people know that there is a show. And it has this great, diverse, cool, funky cast of characters. These actors who are hungry. They can't promote it themselves because of the strikes. Like, I'm actually one of the few people who is allowed to promote the thing. So, it's a hard battle and it's a tough time in Hollywood. But if you want to promote a really good show that deserves, hopefully deserves more than 1-2 seasons, here's your chance. Please support it.
Yeah, definitely I'm supporting it, Jeff. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. People want to follow on social media and keep up with more of your information on how to promote the show. How can they do that?
I'm on Twitter or whatever you want to call it these days at Jeff Pearlman, and that's the best way to find me. And I have a website, jeffpearlman.com.
All right, Jeff. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it.
All right, my pleasure. Take care.